everybody. Welcome here. Welcome to another episode of Get Real with Andy. I have a very special guest, one of my favorite people, actually, Michelle Alva. Why don't you tell
Thank
people
you,
about
Andy.
yourself? And wait, before I say that, today's topic is intimacy. I think everybody's got an interest and a charge about that. So tell us about
hmm
yourself,
Thank
Michelle.
you. And first and foremost, Andy, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for being such a open, just such a person that always wants to learn and grow. And I'm really grateful that we met. And we're in for a really beautiful topic here that I'm really grateful we get to talk about it. And I have a background. 29 years ago, I became a physical therapist, and I was on this journey of learning how to love myself. I really feel my whole life I've been this relentless seeker of truth, and that degree caused me to learn about how we hold also pain in the body, because in physical therapy, a lot of people work with chronic pain. I myself had sexual trauma when I was like 15 years old, and I held a lot of tension in my genitals. And being raised Catholic, it's not something we really talk about. So, my journey led me to study integrative yoga therapy, Tantra, and become certified in these different modalities, and also becoming a hypnotist, an NLP practitioner, that stands for neuro linguistic programming, and belly dance certification. I started belly dance when Shakira came out, and I didn't want to move and show my belly. And I was like, what's going on? So I would cry after my belly dance classes. And so I feel as though my life has been this journey of learning different modalities, which led me to want to go deeper and get certified or get trained. And I was just one after one after one. And today I call what I do actually blissology. That's the latest iteration,
That's the
because I
first time I'm
wanted to
hearing you say
heal.
that.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah,
blessologist.
that's
But
beautiful.
I wanted to heal. I wanted to get rid of all the things and get rid of. And what I realize is when we pour more love into our wounds, our traumas, that God is actually doing, helping us to have these traumas so that we can turn them into wisdom. And so the way I look at everything today is so different, that I want my North Star to be bliss. And that's the one of the highest frequencies we could be in. I think is even above love. And that's the blissful state Buddha talked about. So that's where I'm at. And
So
that's
just
kind of a
to,
little summary of me.
you know, a Yiddish word comes to my mind when I'm watching you right now. It's called,
Sababa?
no, it's called zaftig.
Zaftig. I like that. What
You
does
know
that
what
stand
it
for?
means? Juicy. You are so juicy.
Yeah. We're juicy when we're releasing shame and guilt and all the self-loathing. I wasn't juicy when I was 18, 19, 30, 35. I didn't like myself. I was hiding myself. So today I feel more, and that's intimacy. That's why we're here right now.
And this is a juicy topic for everyone. For
Intimacy is
me,
juicy, everybody.
it's juicy. Let's get juiced.
And nature is intimate. Nature is intimate.
Let's talk about what actually is intimacy. Why do people crave it? And why do people hide from it? If we're going to say that intimacy is a really important part of being a human and being a mammal and all that, why do we run from it? What's happened to us? So
Well,
what
if
is
you think
it?
about where we came from, intimacy has to happen for us to exist. People must make love and be intimate in the most intimate parts of their bodies in order for us to create. And so intimacy is a vital aspect of human beings and all animals and also all plants. The bees that pollinate, they go intimately into the flower. So intimacy, if you go outside, everybody's being intimate. The forest, they're all hanging out together. So human connection is what we're designed for. We are wired for connection. And if we don't have intimacy, we will not be able to connect. So this is the precursor for connection, is
And
intimacy.
as a therapist, I can say that I would say 98, 99, maybe even more percent. It could be 100% of people come to me with all kinds of issues and problems, and definitely intimacy impairment is a huge part of why people don't feel good and feel troubled, and they feel like something is missing. And like you said, we store pain in the body. We also store conclusions about ourselves, like I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not, tall enough or whatever. And then we inhibit what you're calling and what I concur is like a natural state. The bees do it, the birds do it. Even what is that? Even Boston Beans do it. What's that song?
I
Let's
don't
do it.
know.
Let's fall in love. Don't you know that song?
I don't. But I can say that as we're talking about this, I realize how I feel some of the, we're living in these modern times where many of us don't get vitamin D. We're not going outside. We're not being intimate with the sun. We must feel the sun's rays, that intimate moment when we wake up, going for walks, being in nature. We have lost that intimacy with nature. And hence, how can it be possible for us to have intimacy with our partners when we're also chronically stressed? Some of us, we sit in chairs for 6 to 8 hours. So
Yeah,
modern living
one of those.
doesn't support us to feel the juiciness, the aliveness. And recently for me, I mean, I've been doing my best to learn how to open up a coconut, drink out of the coconut, chop that coconut, scrape that meat. And instead of me just going to Whole Foods and opening up a drawer and taking it and it's in a piece of plastic, my fresh vegetables, I'm having this intimate experience with coconut juice, and I even poured it over my head. And my daughter's like, "What's happening to you, mommy? I love it." I'm like a jungle woman, and I've been intimate with nature in that way, where we've lost the work that goes to create this juicy opening of a coconut, where we want everything to be automatic. And in a way, I think we treat our relationships like that. It's actually work sometimes to, be intimate and open up and share your feelings. And I feel we've become a little bit more robotic, or we've lost that intimacy with nature and just the process of having relationships, because so many of us are stressed out chronically. We're not moving enough, we're not outside enough. So how could we be more connected and intimate?
So let's talk about physical intimacy and emotional intimacy. How would you
Well,
define those and what's the relationship?
well, intimacy, first and foremost, is our own ability to be self-aware and present to all our emotions and our sensations as they arise in real time. Many of us are walking around suppressing or avoiding the feelings that come up.
So you're
Or,
talking about intimacy as into me I see. That's that old thing. It starts
yeah,
with inner awareness.
inner awareness, self focus. So, noticing ourselves. And what happens is a lot of us are functioning on this automatic, we just react, and we're not really reflecting or responding or even in our own feeling of how do I wish to respond to something, or how do I feel. Many of us, driving in a car, it goes so fast. The computer goes so fast. So to slow down and be with yourself and and
So what are you
feel
saying?
yourself, that's intimacy.
Slow down, you're moving too fast. You got to make the moment last. Oh wait,
Yes.
hold on.
And so a lot of us, we're just going, we're doing, and intimacy doesn't exist when we're just going forward like the hamster wheel. Intimacy requires us to lean back, take ourselves in. Taking a deep breath is a wonderful practice to cultivate intimacy.
So
These are
slowing down. I hear you saying slow
slowing
down.
down, smell the roses, smell yourself. Heal yourself. When was the last time you just said, I love you, body. I'm grateful for you. Hi, heart. How's my heart feeling? How am I feeling? And to even understand that your feelings do matter in your own life. Believe it or not, many of us are people pleasers. Many of us just want to make everyone happy. We've been programmed to fulfill our parents' desires of us. I mean, I work with this every day. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, where we don't even realize, why am I not happy? I don't even think about my own needs. I'm so wired to give. So receiving is a big part of intimacy, receiving yourself.
And I think that's what I've seen. It's more of an issue for women than it is for men. Women are more programmed to be givers than men.
I also work with men that give a lot and they don't even think they matter. I mean, I think it's different. Most people, I feel men also love to give, like in sex, physically. So physical intimacy is hugging, massaging each other, touching each other, obviously in our our sensual parts, our sexual parts, and being intimate. Women, how many women feel comfortable just opening up their legs and making love? If a woman is chronically stressed out and she's resentful towards her partner or bitter towards life, she's not going to be able to open like that beautiful flower and allow her joys, her pleasures to be experienced. So I feel a lot of us struggle with physical intimacy also because we just don't know. There's not a lot of education on how to be an epic lover. Like I myself raised Catholic, went to Catholic school. There was no school education on being married or how to have a healthy sexual life. So I feel there's a lot of ignorance in people that do not know where's the G spot. What about his prostate? Men can have whole body orgasms. So there's not really athletes, super athletes in making love. And then people just kind of get bored and they don't even really tap into their sexuality. And it's your partner. So I feel a lot of people are touch deprived, massage deprived,
Yeah.
intimacy deprived.
So let's talk more about touch. And there's a book, a classic book by Ashley
Ashley Montague.
Montague, touching the significance of skin or something like that.
Yeah, that was a basic. I became an infant massage instructor, and
Yes.
that book changed my life because he talks about how they wanted to know what are the benefits of touching babies, and then what happens when we don't touch babies when they're
Did you
born. So
know? Did you know
he
that
looked,
there's a Touch Institute in Miami?
yeah,
I can't remember her name right now, but they've
Tiffany
done,
Field,
Tiffany
Tiffany
Fields.
Field, yeah.
They've done studies to show that even having a soft blanket increases the immune function of newborn babies.
Yeah,
That
and babies leave the hospital 10 days earlier. This is a fact. If they were just spending more kangaroo care, they call it, laying on their mother's chest, massage, baby infant massage, which I'm also an infant massage instructor. And I did a whole training because I was a pediatric physical therapist. And I'm teaching parents how to improve their child's head control, but the parents, I could tell they weren't even looking at their babies because they were traumatized that their baby was near drowning, cerebral palsy, diagnosed with Down syndrome, things that happen that are traumatizing to the parent that causes them to shut down emotionally. And here I am trying to be the physical therapist, but I was like, I need to do more. And then infant massage,
okay.
pediatric massage, teaching the parents how to have intimacy with their child, look at their child, process those emotions.
So
Um,
intimacy isn't just a sexual thing, is really what you're.
yeah, intimacy is any time that you are allowing your innermost feelings to be shared. That's an intimate moment when you're being truthful, honest, authentic. And we're wired for intimacy. We actually, when we're honest, our immune system goes up. When you tell a lie, you're lowering your immune system.
Oh, that reminds me of a book. It's called Get Real, Get Well, The Power of Authenticity to Heal. Oh, wait, that's my book.
That's an awesome book. If I could just go back to Ashley Montague and that book Touch,
Yeah.
something that really was amazing how they did these studies in orphanages where they wanted to know what happens to an infant that is not touched. So they would let the babies be in the cribs, and this happened in the 1900s, 1910s, 1920s, and they purposely did not touch the babies other than putting the bottle in their mouth, so minimal touch, and then changing their diaper with minimal touch. And what they started to notice was the babies would die.
That's cruel
So eventually they had to stop the research study
because
because the
it's
babies were dying.
cruel.
They were orphans.
Right.
Yeah. And so we die if we're not touched as infants. So touch stimulates the growth gene, the growth hormone. That's why the babies that are touched, that are premature, leave the hospital 10 days earlier. And I massage my daughter. She was born at 42 weeks. I would massage myself when I was pregnant, and my daughter was 9 pounds, 4 ounces. So she
Okay.
is living proof that if you massage yourself as a pregnant woman, your baby will come later, and she's going to be like a 3 month old when she comes out. And it's just amazing because my daughter never had an ear infection. I breastfed her for 2 years. That's another intimate act for a woman to allow herself to breastfeed. We're that is life for your baby, and there's so many wonderful immune boosters in your milk, and that is an intimate act that is life-giving, life enriching. So
Also, just while
beautiful.
we're talking about immune boosting, touch is known to stimulate the hormone
Oxytocin.
oxytocin, but thymopoietin from the thymus gland is where white blood cells mature. So the building blocks of the immune system are actually strengthened and
Through touch.
fortified through touch.
Yeah.
Infant massage. Are you familiar with Frederick Le Boyer and
Yes.
the birth without violence?
Mm-hmm.
And he actually came up with after his initial notoriety, he came up with a book called Hands-on Baby Massage or something.
I created a
Beautiful.
program called The Touch of Love, and I taught that at Mercy Hospital, South Miami Hospital. And it's something that's been calling me to get back through Zoom, teaching parents because then they don't have to leave their home. So thank you for bringing this up. If anybody wants to learn a touch of love, I have to say that myself learning all this, I implemented it with my daughter. My daughter's 20 years old now, and we're so close. And I mean, I used to carry her. I lived in Boston and I had a sling and I breastfed her. So I would just put her in there, to breastfeed and just go everywhere in Boston.
You,
And
are
she
you,
would be perching, like a little kangaroo and listening to me talk to the deli guy and everybody. And she's very social. And they say how the closer your baby is on your body, they hear the language. So if you carry your baby, instead of putting him in a stroller that's a foot or two away, it's a whole different interaction for your child's development.
are
So
you
unplugging,
familiar?
carrying the baby, feeding the baby, being intimate with your children. Who knows what's missing today because we didn't do that the first year of life or two.
Are you familiar with the continuum concept? It
I've
was,
heard of it.
it's a book. I forget her name. I'll put it and post it on here. But this is a woman who spent some time in a tribal society in South America where they never put their babies down. Never. They're
Wow.
holding them all the time until the kids, walk or something. And that society, those people, they're so stable and so happy. There's no crime, there's no violence. These are happy folks.
I'm so grateful I got to be with my daughter 24/7, her first 5 years of life. And it's so worth it right now, like talking about intimacy, because that's how we learn to listen to our rhythms rather than being put on a schedule. Just feed that baby with the bottle every 2 hours or whatever. We're actually
You know that,
listening to our children and honoring that they're hungry or they're
you know,
crying.
Dr. Spock, who wrote 5 editions of his book on raising children, who was the guru for child rearing, he said, let your babies cry themselves to sleep. He said all kinds of stuff. By the 5th edition of his book, he apologized to North America. He said, I was wrong. Don't let your babies cry themselves to sleep. That's cruel. It's
We
not
gotta
right.
learn that our parents are there for us, unconditionally loving. And I think when a mother's intuitive, she knows when her baby's crying because they're just, they have different cries.
Before my daughter was born, I heard about the Frederick Le Boyer, and my then wife and I searched around and we found an obstetrician who was willing to do a Le Boyer birth. That means
Wow.
we turned the lights down so it was dark. We tried to turn the temperature so that it was warmer, but it was in the hospital. But we also agreed to be quiet, and that when she was born, we agreed to not cut the cord until it stopped pulsing, which is
That's
such
amazing.
common sense. And you know what? When my daughter was born, she did not cry. She
Wow.
didn't cry. Babies don't have to cry. We turn them upside down and slap them. They're
Yes.
freaked out. Their first
So
physical contact is
complete that.
violent. And so, and then after the cord was cut, she was on her mama's boob, and then I picked her up and dunked her in a basin of warm water, and she was expansive. Her little fingers were going, her eyes were open. You know, her vision was wonky. She couldn't see, but she was she was relaxed.
Yeah.
I want you to meet my daughter. I want to meet your daughter.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, that even if you do have a C-section or a traumatic birth experience, which happens a lot, that's where holding your baby, just having them feel your heartbeat, smelling you. So then when we go to adults, I honestly feel even like with men, adult men, a lot of them are looking for their mommy. A lot of them are just want to be held and want to feel that nurturing that they never got.
Yeah.
And this is something that even women being held, being hugged, some people are starving for this touch where it's not about I'm touching you because I want to have sex with you or I'm touching you because I need something from you. There's a different feeling when you're just holding someone and that's it. And we miss that a lot as children growing up.
Talk
Intimacy is being present. Intimacy is taking your time. Intimacy is something that is very relaxing. And so if you're chronically stressed, if you reflect, whoever's listening, what is your stress level generally? And this is a question to everybody that's listening. If you are an 8 out of 10 chronically stressed out person, I can tell you, you probably would benefit a lot from learning about intimacy because you've allowed yourself to go way up in this chronic stress level where you have a lot of cortisol and it's impossible to feel slow down, to feel intimacy, this relaxation response if you're an 8 out of 10 stress levels. So this is where meditation, taking a nice hot bath, learning how to massage yourself, getting a massage, going outside in nature, inhaling for a count of 5,
so you're
exhaling for a count
actually
of 8,
you're actually
slowing
hinting
down. Hmm?
that intimacy is a whole person experience, not even just a whole body experience. It's a whole person.
Way of being.
And
And
you mentioned some of these things before. I'd like to talk about something that enhances intimacy or the qualities or elements of intimacy that make it what it is. And I've come up with the three pillars of intimacy. And I know pillars, that sounds like a male metaphor or something. Sorry.
mhm,
But um, but they are vulnerability, honesty, and self-revealing. If you want intimacy in your relationship life, you got to have those three elements.
yeah, and before that, even a willingness to be intimate. So this is where NLP and hypnosis come in handy because some people say, I want to be more intimate, but unconsciously their body's like this.
And why would
So
that be? Let's talk about why people shy away from, run from, as much as they crave it, and we're saying it's biologically built in. Why would we shun and reject
to
intimacy?
protect ourselves. We are amazing for
From what?
survival. We must be able to protect ourselves. So that person that
From what?
is struggling to have intimacy, something happened to them when they were a child, a baby, maybe they didn't learn that it was safe to be intimate, vulnerable, self-revealing. So if your mom, for example, if you're crying and your mom comes over and slaps you because you're showing your emotions, you start to learn to shut down and close off feeling. And this happens a lot where maybe, the mom doesn't know how to regulate her own emotions or be with her own intimate self. And she's not able to provide that safe, unconditionally loving, supportive environment for someone to allow themselves to feel their own selves to then be able to be vulnerable.
So
The
you're
other
saying
thing is,
that
hmm?
something need to have happened, something
Yes.
has happened that shuts down, we shut down our natural quest for and desire for and need for intimacy
To
because we're
survive in
to
that
survive.
home.
And
Yeah.
ironically or paradoxically, we need intimacy to survive. But you're saying we've somehow got skewed and screwed up. So we've shut down our need for intimacy in order to survive a like a hostile environment almost.
Yeah, and I think about shame, and I remember learning about how, for example, if your mother touched you inappropriately or the babysitter, we self-impose that shame on ourselves instead of putting it on someone else as a child. We attack ourselves, we shame ourselves to cope with the truth that your mother molested you. That's too painful. It's more easy to accept shame for myself that I did something wrong. So we do these things as humans.
And children naturally introject. That's the psychobabble word for it. Children
Introvert.
naturally introject, which is the opposite of projecting. We, we take it on.
Yeah. And this
That's
is something I feel that I would love to say right now is for people to cultivate this. It had to happen. This had to happen to me. Of course, I'm not intimate. Of course, I struggle with intimacy. So, whatever you struggle with, if you are one of those people that you don't know how to be in touch with your feelings, there's nothing wrong with you. I just want people to know you are loved, you're amazing, and there's a perfect divine reason that you had to cope like that. And now you stumbled upon this interview. We're talking about intimacy. So, because you brought us into your vortex, into your reality today, you are showing a sign that you're more open to intimacy because you
and,
can't attract what you're not. You attract what you are. And it's okay if you weren't intimate your whole life because there's so many resources right here with us to come back to yourself. So it is very achievable to become intimate, and it's what your body wants. It's what your soul wants you to. And maybe now you're ready, people. So the minute we start going in the direction of opening up to be vulnerable and intimate, the body, if you're open to it, the body does amazing things. This is what I witness with my clients, how when they're really, truly ready, and they're sick and tired of being sick and tired of whatever is being limited because they're not intimate, it's amazing how easily people really can thrive, even if they were checked out, because they wish to be present and available.
so
So I don't
you
want
are
people to think
saying,
this is difficult to get back. It's our nature to be intimate. So the
you
minute you
are
start to
saying,
desire it, miracles happen.
so you are saying healing is available and healing is possible and
Yes.
healing is a reality. And
Yeah,
I
because
think I've
sometimes
heard
people say, I hope you can help me, Michelle. I hope this will work. So then I tell people on a scale of 0 to 10, how ready are you to be intimate again? So if they're like a 5 or so, I don't work with people unless they're a 10.
oof.
I can only help people that are ready, willing, and able to do whatever it takes. And that's why it works so well because it's been us all along. We get in the way of ourselves.
Well, people do get addicted to their protection. Some people,
Of
it is
course.
possible. What you're saying is if you never get to a 10 in your desire for it, you may never snap out of it. You may never really get the relief that you actually want.
You are the one that you're always waiting for. You're always in the way of yourself. It's always ourselves that are in our own way. We are the ones. No matter how amazing your psychotherapist, no matter how many drugs, it's ourselves. And this is what I learned from neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, subconscious reprogramming. Even people that say, I hope you can hypnotize me. Well, it's not, I hope. Would you like to be hypnotized? Would you like to be hypnotizable? And to let people know you're choosing to perpetuate your lack of intimacy. You're choosing that. So I think a lot of us were playing the victim role. It's rampant in our world. I was doing that. I'm a Cancer woman, you know, my astrological sign by default. Supposedly, we're the most victimy. So that's where I'm really grateful to learn these empowering words. I am choosing where I'm at. Mind you, we don't know what we don't know, but that's where you go to a psychotherapist. You go and seek. Andy's going to help you become more aware of your blind spots. You're so awesome at that.
And
And
I get
together we can create more of a healthier, intimate life.
because I take on people who are less than 10 in their even their self-awareness or anything. People come to me, but there is some spark of a desire to get well, to get better, to improve the quality of their life. I'll go with a spark. Where there's a spark, there can be a fire. And it's an honor and a privilege. And I know you feel that too, to help somebody, you know, and
I
ignite their
feel
spark.
psychotherapy is the first doorway in. So, because I work with the physical body, if a person is not a 10, you can't really help a person in their physical body because they're under they're closed. So, your physical body, everybody, I'm here to let you know, is your subconscious mind. So, when you go to the physical body, you cannot hide your heart. If you really tune into your heart, the truth is there. If you feel your stomach and you spend time massaging your stomach, everyone, you can't be fake. You can't fake it. That's why you have irritable bowel syndrome. Your stomach is yelling, pay attention to me. Maybe you have parasites. Maybe you're constipated. Your body cannot lie to you. It tells you the truth. That's why so many people are dissociating from their body or adding to their body to not feel. So the work that I offer, it's for people that are ready to face themselves 100%, because I can't help you if you're not. Your body is always helping you to feel. And that's why a lot of us, we're too much in our head as a coping mechanism to not feel our stomach. So this is a part of what I share with people is touch your booty, touch your genitals, touch your stomach. What is it telling you? And some people have no idea because they have avoided. They've been living from the neck up, where everything is about your persona, it's not about feeling, and that's a coping mechanism. So I have a lot of compassion for people, and you must have a willingness to go there because this is not something I can do for people. They have to take responsibility for themselves. But then people start to feel these miracles and then they get empowered and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so powerful." And so this is the journey that I've discovered. And it's not for everyone because you cannot hide from yourself in it.
And I like what you're saying about victimhood. Victimhood is something we've learned. It's nobody's born a victim. We're born, we're helpless. We can't do a lot of stuff for ourselves. We can't survive on our own. That's why when we accommodate to warped people, we end up being warped ourselves. People who can't give, we will adapt. I like to say it's if you take a plant and put it in a closet, it will contort itself to grow towards that little sliver of light coming in the crack at the bottom of the door. That's
Mhm.
how love hungry and love starved. Plants are phototropic. We humans are love tropic. We have to have the love to survive. I
Yeah.
also like to say a thirsty person will drink out of a mud puddle. You know, there's water in a mud puddle, but we end up swallowing a lot of stuff that's not healthy for us.
Mhm.
And that applies to everything you're saying, our whole relationship with our own body. You know, children are naturally exploratory, naturally curious. I've had many parents come to me about their little child. They say, my child masturbates. They're 4 years old and they're masturbating. Should I be concerned about it? And, I'll tell them stuff like, you know, tell them that's something that's private. It's for yes, enjoy yourself, this and that. Just don't do it where other people will be freaked out or something like that.
Mhm.
And they need guidelines on, well, is this something wrong with my child?
I mean, for me, I was raised Catholic, so you don't talk about sex or anything related to your genitals. I didn't even touch myself. I did not pleasure myself as an adult woman till I was 38 years old
Oh my.
because I thought it was a sin. I was raised Catholic. And that's just not something you do. You have sex with your husband more to just have a child. That's where I came from. And I was missing my own self. I was not intimate with my sexuality for most of my life. So I know firsthand what that feels like to
Is that a joke?
leave
That
your
was a
body
pun. You know firsthand.
firsthand.
Let's
And then
face
to actually, I was divorced. I was with someone for 20 years of my life, and I did not maximize my creative life force energy the way I do now. And I'm 50 wonderful now, and I feel younger. I feel more joy, more fulfillment, just being myself, definitely. But that's the thing. I feel that the more you are intimate with yourself, the more you get to have this relationship with this more loving, more unconditionally loving. Because when we have shame, guilt, which I was loaded with guilt from the Catholic religion, just this, I'm not blaming the Catholic religion, but I felt as though God is watching me all the time. And am I doing it right or wrong? All this, and seeing Jesus on the cross every Sunday with blood coming out of his head, with the thorns. There's so much drama. And why does it have to be that way? But somehow that affected my psyche to just be more dramatic, play the victim role instead of seeing, Jesus like, yeah, I resurrected. I wish they would put more of that in the church. What happened to Jesus after the resurrection? He became uh, the rising of the soul. There was like this victim energy that I feel I brought as a woman growing up, and then, you know, kind of shaming myself because I lost
it.
my virginity so young.
Let's shift gears. Let's talk about emotional
Intimacy.
intimacy.
Emotional intimacy is when you're, once again, you're being authentic, you're revealing your feelings, and you're sharing how you really truly feel.
That
So
could involve
something.
revealing shame and guilt and
Mhm.
just exposing it to the light, right?
And even feeling uncomfortable. So, for example, if you feel uncomfortable with your partner, that you don't even know how to tell him something, you might be like, I feel like I'm afraid to even bring this up in our marriage. That's intimacy. I'm uncomfortable with even how I'm going to say this right now to you. I don't know the right way, but it's been lurking in my heart. I've been feeling a little bit like there's a wall between us, and I'm afraid, and I'm gonna share something now, but I don't even know if it's gonna come out in the best way. That's intimacy.
Well,
Because sometimes people
so-
say, well, how am I gonna tell my partner? You're gonna tell them that you're afraid, that you don't really know what's gonna happen, but it's been ruminating, and so intimacy is get it off your chest.
and so
Be vulnerable.
doesn't that mean safety is a really important part of emotional intimacy? To feel safe enough to say things that I might be uncomfortable with or
And not to be
scared to say.
judged. This is the part where I feel a lot of us judge each other. I hear this in couples, and I totally failed in my marriage at this. There was so much judgment. So, for example, can you imagine a man, I'm just making this up right now, saying, I want to suck your toe, to his wife? Or, you know how sometimes people have fetishes? Or I want to have a fantasy that I want to. And then the wife says, ew, why would you want to do that? So, women, be grateful that he's opening up and sharing, and just witness him, active listening. Do your best to honor that he's a whole separate person with a bunch of different likes and dislikes, and so are you. So, love is about listening without any judgment. Intimacy is feeling safe that you could tell me the most silliest, creative fetishes, and I'm just going to listen because
Okay,
I love you.
but what if you don't want to do what he wants you to do?
You can say in a loving way, wow, I hear you. You're telling me you want to suck my thumb, my toe, but in my whole body just went, no. And it doesn't feel like something I want to experience with you. That's it. And then ideally,
You move on.
we just accept that we're two people that are completely different people, right? In different ways that are choosing to be together, and
Well,
we honor each other.
if I can't suck your toe, I'm going to find some other toe to suck.
That's another conversation to have. That's love. Then you go deeper in deeper intimacy. Well, how important is this for you?
I
And
just
and
wanted
so
to see where you went with that.
there's no shaming, there's no shaming, but there's so much shaming in or blaming or guilting in relationships that we don't even realize, wow, I don't have any intimacy with this person. I mean, I've had clients that they're afraid of their partners. They're walking on eggshells.
Oh man,
They're
eggshells are
like,
the
I don't
worst.
know what to say. And so you're no longer intimate. There's no more vulnerability. And vulnerability is our superpower. So a quick way to know
Wait,
if you're
say that again. Say that sentence
our
again.
vulnerabilities are superpower.
Yeah,
That's
like
Brene Brown. So a way to know, well, am I shaming or guilting is to ask yourself, what are you avoiding? What are you ashamed of? What do you feel guilty about? So if you are having those with your partner, then that's going to separate you both. Does that make sense?
yes.
That's a wonderful question. What are you avoiding? What are you not telling your partner that keeps coming up or
And
you
another,
think?
another way to ask that is what's between me and the intimacy that I want right now?
Most people don't even know what intimacy means. I'm just keeping it real here.
Well, I know, but we're trying to set the bar so that intimacy is the goal and people have a sense of it. In therapy, the main tool is the intimacy of the relationship, where I tell the truth. I expect you to tell the truth. I welcome you you could tell me anything, and I'm not going to judge you and all that. Um, Sometimes I will speak the person's judgment out loud. You know, they'll tell me something. I say, God, you're a horrible person. And then they laugh because they know I'm not saying that.
Right.
But they said, oh God, I've been telling myself I'm a horrible person. And you just made light of it and you're accepting me and loving me. Intimacy in the therapeutic relationship is the main tool to give people the sense of what's possible in relationship.
Yeah, because imagine how many of us, if when you think about your childhood or growing up, who are the people that listened to you and you knew you could tell them anything and they would still be there for you lovingly?
You had somebody
People
like
can
that?
comment. People can comment down below. Let us know.
Did you have somebody like that? I didn't have
My
anybody
mom's
like that
sister. My mom's
until I
sister.
was 18 and I went to a therapy group. I felt like I could tell the therapist there was a therapist and a minister. And did you have a person?
My mom's sister to me, which she lived in another country, but when you say that, her energy was this energy of love. Everybody's allowed to have their experience. Everyone is allowed to honor their truth. And this is where intimacy is such a healing tool, connection, vulnerability, presencing. So when somebody asks me, what's the quickest way I can practice being intimate? I tell people this is a hack. If, as long as you're not driving, close your eyes. Close your eyes, everyone, and feel your heart. Because the heart is 50 times electromagnetically stronger. The charge of your brain, believe it or not, right here, we have this super brain that is so intuitive. So if anybody wants to be more intimate in their lives, this is what I recommend is just close your eyes and skin to skin, touch your chest and start to just feel your chest, your stomach, because we hold a lot of tension here, and breathe deeply.
I'd like to hear you say your slogan about,
Get your heart on.
yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Get your heart on, everyone. Your heart matters. Get to know your heart, listen to your heart. And then for the couples, get your heart on before you get your heart on. Don't just make it about the genitals. That heart pumps blood so that you can be erect, gentlemen. We are meant to be circulating love into our sexuality, into our intimacy. So sometimes people just want to have sex to relax and release, but then you wind up feeling used or
Mm.
objectified. So it's so beautiful when we study the hormone of love. The orgasm hormone is the love hormone. So when people say, oh, we're just having sex, it's casual, we're not wired to be casual. That's the beautiful thing that I've learned from the science of love is nature, God, creator made sex, penetration to be an act of love. Let me say that again. Sexuality is designed to be loving, love, bond building, connection building. So when we use it as a tool to get off on maybe you're feeling stressed out or a distraction. So sometimes sex is not intimacy. Sometimes it's just something that we do to avoid intimacy, actually. And so
It's so
over
ironic, isn't it?
what? I
It's so
know.
ironic. Yeah.
So it's a feeling. It's a feeling of deepening, of slowing down. There's a sense of peace. You're not trying to get off or get high on the act. And if you are doing that, have compassion. You're doing your best. So no reason to judge or shame or blame. But where am I coming from? And so the more we connect to love, acceptance, compassion, feeling, expansion, that's going to help us to come back into the moment, to slow down. See, some people don't like to be slowing down because what happens is everything that you've been suppressing is going to start to come up. So when
Amen.
people say,
Yeah.
why do I struggle with intimacy? It's because you're protecting yourself. And it's almost like intuitively that, OMG, all my stuff is going to come up from the past if I am intimate. And this is why a lot of times people don't look at each other when they're making love. If your man or your woman is avoiding eye contact stimulates oxytocin, the
Mm.
love hormone, the vulnerability hormone, the connection hormone. And so looking at each other, eye gazing, is such a powerful way to
That's
open the door to intimacy.
that's why they say the bedroom is a mirror of how you do your intimate life. And somebody once said, everything outside the bedroom is foreplay. Do you want to comment on
Mm.
that? I like
Mm-hmm.
that saying a lot because people think that, okay, we argue, we fight, and then we're just gonna, everything will be fine when we have sex in the bedroom. That's more of a man's point of view. But
Yeah.
that's
Makeup sex. I mean, some people love makeup sex, but that's more dopamine. That's
it
more of
is.
a
It is.
high. When you make love, it's not, you're not getting something from people. And believe it or not, this is something I think a lot of us struggle with. There's a lot of goal-oriented sex. There's a lot of expectations, and pornography definitely doesn't help intimacy because when you're watching a person who's having sex, you don't know that person on the screen. So your heart doesn't need to be there. You don't have to get to know the porn stars to get off on the porn stars and what you're seeing. And so there's no touch. You're not touching them. So it teaches you to be very much in your eyes and getting this stimulation visually, and then not having your heart and then stimulating your genitals, so you're just in the eyes and stimulating your genitals. So pornography distances us from the human connection that
Frag
lovemaking was made to be.
it's fragmenting and
Yeah,
not
it
and
dissociates
not
you.
and not unifying.
And there's actually a diagnosis of erectile dysfunction in men from overuse of porn. And
Okay.
then when they're with a woman, they don't know what it's like. uh and it foreplay is a thing, everybody. It takes women 10 minutes at least to get wet, to 40 minutes depending on how she's stressed. So when you watch pornography, the woman, she's already there, she's already ready. And so it takes time, everyone, to warm up that woman, make her a little juicy. This is where I help women to be juicy, but still it
We're
takes
back on
time for
juicy
her.
again.
It takes time for her vulva to engorge with blood, this physiological response, and then her vagina becomes wet. So this is another part where people just use lubrication and want to get it on right away. But actually, what if you just learn how to relax more? Take your time. This is where yoni massage, massaging each other down there, then naturally her juices will come in, and then you're making love more naturally rather than with all the different uh, additions. I mean, I started massaging people when I was 30 years ago as a physical therapist. Massage is a part of our training, and I'm so grateful that my whole life, my hands are another sensor, and I feel so much. And I feel, touch, massage for every human. Make sure to use your hands to feel and touch yourself. These are sensors that induce more intimacy hormone. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Tantra practitioner, so we are natural and learning how to be whole body orgasmic and ecstatic. And so people a lot of times just have physical sex. Toys are physical. It doesn't teach you how to expand your energy orgasms. So I'm a Tantra practitioner. So this is where we're learning how to have this expansive, energetic experience that is really blissful and your soul awakening. So that's a whole other, and that's why for me, I prefer to take people beyond the physical, where you're more aware of the energy. And that has to do with your heart. So getting your heart on, expanding your breath, and then you're not even concerned about if you're being touched at that point because you're so touched by God. You're feeling this divine touch that is beyond the physical. And so this is where I'm today with everything that I've learned and where I have been experiencing my own body in bliss. This it's more of a sacred, it's not even about my name or my age. It's about the unity of oneness with the divine, where you just start to cry because you feel you're touching God through your sexuality. To me, that's the ultimate intimacy, is feeling the presence of our creator. And when we learn how to expand that expansive, ecstatic, energetic, I mean, that to me is sublime. It's beyond words. It's ineffable. So that's what I'm referring to. Intimacy that I'm talking about is about heart connection. So being interacting with that other human, and deepening that expansive energetic feeling. So you can touch a person without even physically touching them. When you speak from your heart and you reveal, you are being touched without physical touch. So that's the emotional intimacy. And I'm talking about Tantra and intimacy with humans that are natural. So that's where I was talking about. And the brain, when you start to use electrical things that have batteries, and you're getting away from the nature. So this is, and it's about people feeling themselves more intimately with themselves and with their partners. And the brain, we have neuroplasticity. So I was only talking about it when you were mentioning sex toys. And so when someone starts to use a vibrator, by default, you're programming your clitoris to this higher vibration of a toy that then when you're with your husband, his penis doesn't vibrate. So for me, I rather teach people Tantra, how to get ecstatically charged and amazingly enlivened, which I don't get from a toy. This is all from me. This is from God. This is from creation. And so that's what I'm talking about. I've used papaya to massage people in my retreats in Costa Rica, and that was amazing. Freshly cut papaya. And that feels delicious, and it has enzymes and it goes on your skin. So I'm a person that would rather, like roses, natural. That's what I'm very passionate and excited to share with people. And everybody can do whatever they want. But I do know that the minute you start to use something, you start to get used to that frequency or that tool. And it just, why not bring more human connection if you're struggling with your partner? Some women even think, I can't orgasm unless it's with a toy. So that's the part where I'm all about empowering people to harness their own creative life force energy, which I am all about. And I think you can feel that. And I'm not depending on things to turn me on because I am the source of my turn on. And that's another conversation where men say, how can I get my wife to orgasm? How can I make her ejaculate? Men want to see their wives have ejaculation. And so I tell men, it's not your responsibility to make her orgasmic. That's her responsibility. So this is a whole other topic where women are either juicy or they're not. And they can learn to be, but it's not for your partner to make you something. That's codependency. So Tantra is all about becoming sovereign, becoming your own turn on human being, becoming orgasmic. And that's very empowering. So that's what I stand for, empowering within, awakening within. Because a lot of people, they lose hope and then they resort to the toys. Mind you, I've used toys myself. I went to a whole workshop where they used tons of different toys. And so for me, because I'm so turned on, I get turned on when I go outside and the wind is blowing under my skirt. So I'm turned on when I go to the ocean and I feel the water massaging my chest, and my inner thighs. I'm turned on.
Okay.
That's it, I'm living this way.
Yeah.
So for me to have something that I'm supposed to get turned on from, I'm not even interested in that. So like when a man is with me, past lovers, they're just like, oh my God, you're amazing. They can't believe how alive I am. You can imagine, right? And it's so sad because how many of us are really making the time to be intimate with our energy of love and our sexuality? And that's where sacred sexuality comes in, which is a very spiritual experience because we're all made by Creator. And so I hope you can feel my energy and my joy and just believe in yourselves, everybody. This is your God-given gift to be intimate and to be the most incredible experience in your life yourself if you're open to it.
Okay, let's have some concluding statements. Although what you just said was a really beautiful summary of where you're at, and I totally honor you and appreciate you. You are juicy from the moment
I'm
I
at now I'm here, but meet me at 14 years old. I was a depressed teenager. I have a picture I'd love to show actually.
okay.
Right over here. I think this will be a good closing because not to fall on my face, but check this out, everyone. This is me when I'll put it as close as I can.
Okay.
And it says, I love you, Dad, or I miss you, Dad.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see my face there, but there's no radiance. And I think I was 15 or 16 here.
Okay.
So, not glowing in my face. I was very shut down and not connected to my intimacy, vulnerability. And I
And
feel today I live like I don't want to waste any time. I love chopping those coconuts. I want to go outside. I want to go for a walk. I want to soak up the day. How can I fit nature in my day?
but you are a living testimony that you don't have to stay in first grade forever. You get to graduate from where you were, even where you are, and there's more to be had. And it is possible that the intimacy realm is really sort of infinite because you've made so many references to being kissed by God and communing. I think there's a certain amount of it never ends. It just gets better in that. And so it doesn't matter where we are when we start, as long as, in the beginning, even if somebody's a 5 or a 2 or a whatever, there's a thirst. I would call it a universal thirst because it's the ocean where we came from, and we're like little drops in our own little skin, and we long to have that union experience again.
Yeah.
And
And there's nothing wrong with your life, everybody. Like, whatever trauma you've had, whatever you're ashamed of, it's so important for us to be compassionate with ourselves. We're all doing our best, and your best is enough. And know that it's just about choosing differently. Because sometimes people say, oh, I can't get a divorce, for the kids. I have to stay. What am I going to do? I'm going to have to work. I hear so many stories of people that think that they're stuck. And so the thing is, are you willing to feel open to unexpected miracles, unexpected opportunities, unexpected? The universe loves to give us unexpected surprises. And just like that day that I met you, Andy, it was unexpected. And so for us to just walk around, spend more time opening up your arms. Remember, I said your posture, your body is your subconscious mind. So if you're feeling blocked, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling, go outside, let the sun bathe you, open your body, lay on the grass. And trust me, everybody, if you do something consistent, and there's tons of meditations on my YouTube channel for free, Michelle Alva TV, that you can listen to and start to reprogram your body, your mind, and miracles happen. That's how powerful we are. I think that's what I would like to close people realize that I think a lot of us are afraid of our own power. A lot of us are even afraid of owning our sexual power because there's been so much suppression for thousands of millions of years for women. I think women, especially, are afraid of their own beautiful vitality. I mean, look at this world where we're allowing ourselves to get paid less than men. There's a lot of work to be done, ladies. And so own it. Own that we're also sexual beings, we're creative beings, and you have the power when you just start to say, I choose to be living my dreams. I choose now to heal my past. I choose and use those words. I am powerful. I am supported. And we start to reprogram that mindset in the body, and miracles happen. So this is the miracle in my life. My daughter benefits from it. Everybody that I meet. I'm so grateful to my traumas and my parents and everything that happened to me. I know God loves me, and I'm not gonna just keep it all to myself. So share your message, everybody. Your mess is your message. And thank you, Andy, for having me. And thank you for being so raw and authentic and real. And I'm grateful for you.
There you go. That's intimacy with Michelle Alva. I'm
And
honored to
Andy.
have you be my friend. Thank you so much for coming into my life. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Let us know how you enjoyed this interview. Make sure to comment down below, share it, like it, subscribe to Andy's channel, share this video with everyone you know. And thank you for doing these podcasts, Andy. They've been really fun to watch.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Too.